I have a sanctioned show. Do you want it? It's letter A.
This is a setup to a joke,
No.
then I don't want it.
Wow. Welcome back to CrossCut, everyone. I'm your co-host, Chris.
And I'm your other co-host, Josh.
Last week we went with a sci-fi thriller, I guess you would say, for a companion, and I figured we'd do something a little bit different and go with action. It's a Korean film called Kill Boksoon. I had never heard of this. I was just looking online and then like that popped up for me and I thought, okay, why not? It's a Korean film. They've uh Korean films that have been doing well. I've always liked them. What do you think about it?
Um, I mean, I definitely was wondering why you picked this movie and if you'd have had ever seen it before.
No, I hadn't seen it before. I just saw the trailer and it looked interesting.
Yeah,
And
but how'd you come about finding this movie? Like, were you
uh,
intentionally searching for something like this, or
I was literally just looking up on Google like what are the top 10 on Netflix, on Hulu kind of thing. And when I was on the Netflix list, that showed up. I was like, oh, okay. Figure give it a try. I actually liked the movie.
good for you?
You didn't.
So, I started watching this movie last night and I was starting to fall asleep. So I pulled a Chris basically. And what I mean by that is I would start to watch a movie and then you start to fall asleep. That's called pulling a Chris.
Ah,
So I watched about 40 minutes last night. I wasn't into it and I was also tired to be fair. So I was like, okay, let me pick it up today. And I picked it up and I think I caught it at like a good point in the movie because I think that's when things started to pick up and I did enjoy the rest of the movie that I watched today.
okay.
Um, I thought ultimately it was pretty solid. The action was well done, very stylish, which is obviously, Korean film,
Right.
uh, gonna be like that. Definitely gave me John Wick vibes at times, which I'm not sure if John Wick had Korean influence or Japanese, well, more Japanese influence for John Wick, I
More
think.
Japanese, yeah.
But yeah, this was definitely stylish, and I ultimately I did enjoy it. Um, my hesitations going in
Okay.
was the length, and I think the movie is too long. Um,
Okay.
and I think that's tends to be how Korean films are. Like I remember I watched Old Boy for the first time a couple months ago, and that movie does take a while to get into it as
Yeah.
well. So I think this did the same thing. So when I was watching it last night, I was kind of tired, and it was just kind of like
I think
scenes of just like
I think they
whatever, and
they
then
they want to build it up, but they take forever to build it up.
yeah, I think this movie ultimately was a little too long. I think it could have been like a solid 2 hours and it would have been better.
Mhm.
But it definitely gets to a point where it hits its stride and it's pretty good.
Mhm.
And that's what I watched basically the last I'd say hour and a half of this movie is really good.
Okay, okay. Like I see your point. Like in the beginning, it really is very slow.
Oh,
And
my other hesitation was it's considered a Netflix film, which I'm not a fan of Netflix films, even though I know this was probably not produced originally as to Netflix. I'm sure Netflix picked it up later, but still, I'm not a huge fan of strictly Netflix movies.
gotcha. I For me, it's a hit or miss on Netflix movies. Like, for example, Adam Sandler. Like all the Netflix movies he's done, like some I like, some are like, eh. This is not the Adam Sandler I know. And I'm pretty sure Netflix has a lot of influence of what they want to make. But I actually enjoyed this movie with the action scenes are pretty good. I
Hmm.
really like the whole
Hmm. Okay, I can I all
story it
right.
is.
The best action scene was the fight in the restaurant with
That
all of her
yeah,
friends. Okay, that scene actually had me laughing, especially the one guy with the fake hand and he keeps getting hit with a knife and then he gets stabbed in the head. Like I was like that was the funniest part. And that was
I
actually a really, really good scene.
when that happened, when the first time he gets stabbed, like, oh shit, yeah, he got stabbed by accident. And when he when it ricocheted the second time.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, now I
right.
start laughing. And then the third time he ricocheted,
He
it's
gets
like, oh,
stabbed in the head. Yeah, that was funny. So
that was
that
good.
that was probably the best sequence for action and comedy combined
Yes,
in the whole movie.
yes, yes. Like I know it does give that John Wick vibes, like the companies and stuff like that. But I like that it's still different in its own thing. Like there's a bunch of different instead of like gangs or mafias, it's just companies,
Hmm.
and you have to have a sanctioned kill pretty much,
Hmm.
and then they can't just go off on a killing spree just because. And the envelopes is interesting too about how the importance of levels of according to the alphabet. I like that introduction to like their system.
Yeah, the companies kind of reminded me of like baseball with like you have your major leagues and then you have your minor leagues, and it
Mm.
seemed like MK was like the big leagues. Like
Right,
okay, if you're working for MK, you're like in the big times, and
right.
I think that's why her friends who worked for these smaller companies all were trying to kill her because it wasn't the whole idea they could go and work for MK ultimately, and like that was
Right,
why they were
right.
trying to do
Because the
that.
director said that I was like, well, we'll give you the opportunity if you kill Boksoon, pretty much.
Yeah. Now, one thing I gotta ask you, because this was happening for me, and I'm just not sure if it was me or if it just was Netflix in general. Did the subtitles seem too fast? Like I was trying to I'm just trying to keep up with like reading them, and at times it just felt like they were
Yeah,
just going too fast. And at times they would jump up at the top of the screen and then it'd be at the bottom. For the most part, it's at the bottom.
yeah.
But at
For
one
the
scene,
most part,
there's
it's on
it
the
like
bottom.
jumps
Yeah,
to the top, and I'm like, okay, just
I
like
think that
stay in
might
one
just be
spot.
a Netflix thing, because it happens for well, maybe not just a Netflix thing, because on other movies, even if it's not on streaming DVDs, to do the same thing. They'll just jump up and down. But I think that also
Yeah,
probably
this
has to do with if there's like signs in a different language in a movie, it'll bounce around. Because it did that
yeah.
too.
But this, for me, it was more like the speed of the subtitles seemed like it was just going a little too fast at times. It's like, all right, slow down.
Well, did you watch it in Korean or English dubbed?
Korean and reading the subtitles,
Okay.
like you should watch a foreign film.
Yes.
I
Um,
didn't know there was an option to watch it in English dub. Not that I would have.
well, when I started it, it automatically went to English dubbed, and
Interesting.
it did. I didn't think it would. I changed
Yeah.
it to Korean, and then halfway through, I'm like, I'm not catching up with this thing. So I
Mm,
same thing with the subtitles. They weren't matching the shot, I guess.
mm,
And then I was getting a little confused. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna for a good portion of the movie was in Korean, then I just switched to dub because I can't. It was driving me
mm.
crazy.
Okay.
But I like how you mentioned that the it's visually appealing. All the
Hmm.
locations, like Boksoon's house is really stylish. The office for
Did she have like a greenhouse in her apartment?
yeah,
It looked like I was like, damn, she got a greenhouse. Like she must. I mean, she's making some money for sure.
right, right. I mean, you're the top assassin for the top company. I mean, of course you're gonna have money.
Yeah. So just to kind of, because there's parts of the story where I was getting a little lost. Maybe it's because I watched it in two parts.
Okay.
So I feel like the movie really kickstarts because of. So we have the main guy at MK, who his last name is Cha, Cha.
Chairman
But
Cha.
then there's his sister, who I didn't realize that was a sister until like way later. Who
I that I agree. I didn't think that was his sister either
And I think that was maybe intentional by the storytellers, the directors to maybe do that. But because, well, there's one scene that's kind of effed up now that you think about it, where he's
when they she tries to
choking
kiss
her
him.
and she tries to kiss him. Like, damn, what's with Korean movies and all the incest? Like, anyways, because at first I was like, oh, she's kinky, she's into it, but then I didn't realize that she was the sister at the time.
Right, and
Um,
I didn't piece it together uh they were calling the names like Chairman Cha and then Director Cha. I was like, oh, now it
yeah,
makes sense.
I will say she was hot though.
Okay, okay.
Even though she was into some kinky incest foreplay, but
She was a psychopath. She even says it herself. you know. But
Yeah.
I I do like the how she she sees her alternate scenarios before she even acts.
Yeah, that was some Doctor Strange shit going on.
But that was pretty cool. I mean, like, okay, I'm pretty sure an axe is not gonna work. Gonna lose my head. So she
Yeah, I
just
was trying
pulls
to
out the
figure out if that was just like her actual like she's having actual like premonitions or if that was just like she could just literally just read things and
I
and
think
and
that's what
see.
it is because even remember at the very end when the final fight, she's trying to see the chairman's moves and each time she fails and you focus on him and he says, "What's wrong? You can't see my next move?" Like, okay, so he taught her how to read and predict moves. You know?
Yeah, I just at one point I was just like, get this lady a flying cape and some sorcerer's stones or something, and yeah,
I did
but
like
yeah, no, that was cool.
sparring.
That was cool.
The sparring was pretty cool too when she's showing her the whole class how to attack with with her marker. That was pretty cool. I like that.
I think that's kind of where the movie picked up for me was that around that time when we meet the intern,
Hmm.
and I really liked the intern character, and that scene was rough when the intern, spoiler alert, the intern dies. Um,
Yeah.
that's what because I liked the main guy up until that point. I was like, this guy I like, he's a badass. He killed all those Russians,
Hey,
and he was in love, obviously. Was he supposed to be the father?
I
I,
think
I
it's
always thought he was.
implied.
Yeah, I always assumed that he was supposed to be the father
Yeah, I think
of
it's
the
implied that he's the
daughter.
dad, and he, like nobody knows, not even his sister.
Although there should have been a scene at the end where, because the whole reveal at the end is that the daughter's watching everything on the iPad or whatever.
Right.
I think there should have been like a reveal, like you know, he was the father and made it clear at that point because then she was watching and
True. That's another thing that she thought she was CIA, right? But that threw me off completely. Like CIA. I was expecting her to say like you're a hitman or something like that. Not
well, she
CIA.
doesn't say CIA, she says something intelligence. It was like a different thing. It was something intelligence.
Well, either way, but it's something like a good thing. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
when she watches it and all that, it's like uh that was another thing too. When Boksoon comes home and sees her in bed, it was like, okay, she didn't watch it. That was the whole thing of like, did she or did she not? And then when because her daughter is actually pretty smart.
Hmm.
So and she says to leave the door open, like, oh, okay, she doesn't trust you. She did watch it. And like
Yep. And then it cuts
that
to,
is like
well, she starts like kind of tearing up and cuts to
right.
black and you saw the post credit scene, right?
No.
Well, the fuck, Chris.
I didn't know
See,
those were
that's
credits.
why you don't filmmakers don't turn the credits off, Chris. Keep watching the freaking movie and you would have seen
What
there was a
was the
post
post
credit scene.
credit?
I'm not telling you, go watch it.
Oh, come on.
I'm not telling you. Maybe actually watch the credits and you'll find this stuff out. So there's this whole story where she takes an assignment to go kill this like kid, right?
Right.
Like this college age kid who was the
Politician.
son of a politician. And I was a little confused at this. So she takes the intern with her
Right.
and she ultimately they gas him and
Right.
he's either knocked out or he's dead, but I was never sure what he actually was.
He was knocked out.
So he wasn't actually dead. Okay. So then our main character, she starts to kind of negotiate with the main guy about this contract that she's up for,
Mhm.
and she's using kind of the kid as leverage, or she said she failed, and then
Right.
he is trying to like negotiate with her. So was it the sister that ultimately sends the one guy whose dad was sick or whatever to go
Yeah.
kill this kid?
Right.
So the sister really kind of fucked everything up, it seemed like.
Yes.
And then the brother was kind of had to like try to clean up the mess of everything.
I you want the hater from the beginning.
In the beginning, I thought she was like normal. Like the main lady goes to the place and all the interns are training, and she kind of brings her out, and like everything seemed normal. And then all of a sudden, she was fucking crazy and hot and crazy and yeah, I mean I was into it, but you know,
Aha, that's your type.
I mean wild
Crazy.
and crazy and yeah.
Well, but
I mean not into the, family kind of shit, but I mean yeah, she was good looking.
but I agree with the chairman that he was pretty cool character until yeah he's like ruthless with the intern. Like
Yeah, that that poor intern.
and beating up the other guy like it, it wasn't necessary I guess, but I know
Which
he
guy? The guy in at the boardroom meeting, who the
yeah the one with the
military guy?
camouflage.
He deserved it, I would say. He
Sure,
he
he was
deserved
a
it.
dick, but still, it's like he kind of like he's kind of you're ruining the chairman's character in a way. That's how I see it because it's like he's changing completely. Like I know his like top knife as they call it um that he's losing her and has a conflict with her and whatnot because clearly
Well, he
he
was in
loves
love with
her
her. He was, yeah.
and
Ever since she was a minor, which maybe that's why that rule was invented, but also
right.
pedophilia.
I mean he's probably like what 17 at the time too.
No, he was definitely older. Yeah, they weren't the same age. He was at least a few years older than her.
Uh,
I thought that scene was good too, where we see her as a 17-year-old and
and
she
kills her
literally kills her own
father.
father.
And
And she turns the tables on him, which was that was good. That was clever.
yes, that was good. But it also makes you think like, huh, you kill your own father, but now she's raising a daughter and that was kind of annoying too. Like she doesn't listen to her daughter at all. And I guess she can't share things about what she does, the mom,
Hmm.
but I don't know why. It's like she wasn't really trying.
She felt almost more like a detached older sister than a mom.
Yeah. But it also like like some of the lines that she says of like she didn't plan to have her.
Right, and she even has a line where she says, "I wish being a parent had a contract that would
With
end
conflict.
too."
Yeah,
It's like so. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you didn't want to be a parent,
right.
but
And she loves being an assassin.
right, and I guess
So
that's the whole struggle of the ideas. Being an assassin is easier than being a parent, and
yeah.
then was there supposed to be like a theme going on where the daughter is kind of following in the footsteps, Because I think there was like
Hmm.
a good little theme at one point where we see the daughter and there's this whole thing where she stabs one of the students and I think the mom had this idea of like, you want your kids to be grow up and be better people than you are. That's like the
Right,
whole kind of idea. And really it's like you kind of grow up and you become your parents
right.
ultimately. Or some people do, not everybody, but
But I get it. Like she wants to protect her, be like, have her grow up a normal human being, happy and whatnot. But it almost like I wanted her to like embrace her daughter's dark side, but she didn't at all. And
yeah, I kind of had a thought of like, what's the big deal if you did tell your daughter what you did? Like, do you really think she was gonna like freak out? Like,
yeah, especially after her confessing of what happened at school and the pictures and everything like that. She like completely poured herself out to her mom. And
yeah,
mom
I, I
doesn't
guess
get.
I guess you wouldn't have a whole story with a whole reveal at the end, but like I did have a thought of just like what if you just did tell your what would you be scared of how maybe that was the point like maybe she thought she'd be scared of how her daughter sees her and that's how the
Or
movie ends. So
or that she's afraid that she's gonna follow into her footsteps completely, and not have a normal life at all. Which I think that's what she really did not want. But what if it was inevitable? I mean, now it's
yeah.
probably is inevitable after she
Well, watch the post-credit scene and maybe you'll have a different idea of what it's a little ambiguous, but it might give you an idea.
fine, fine, I'll watch.
It involves the daughter, I'll say that.
Okay. It was a good movie. I appreciated it. Yes, it's very slow at the beginning, but it, like you said, it does pick up. It does.
Yeah, I'd say about 40 minutes in, 30, 35, 40 minutes in, it hits its stride because the beginning half hour is just kind of all over the place, it felt like. And you're just kind of seeing like different
It
scenes. And
does.
yes, those little scenes are setting up stuff, but then you finally hit the story and it's like, okay, this is the story for the rest of the movie. Great, there we go. And I just wish they maybe hit that sooner or condensed it somehow and made it like a sharp 2 hours. It felt a little like 20 minutes too long.
Although I did like the very beginning of it with the Yakuza guy.
That was all right.
I
I
thought it was
don't like
funny.
it when they do the scenes where they're talking and then it cuts back and forth, and I'm just like, ugh, I don't really care about that kind of editing, but
I just thought the dialogue was funny because he was like, okay, well, we gotta fight, you know?
yeah,
And she just pulled an Indiana Jones, just shoots him.
yeah, the cheap way out, I guess.
Yeah, yeah,
The action is good. The story's pretty solid. The acting is really good. This must be, I don't really know how the Korean film industry works, but I looked up a lot of these actors and I'm like, I've seen you in something. And then, of course, it's like, I haven't seen you in anything because it's all Korean stuff. Definitely would like to see these people come over and be in some American movies. That would be pretty cool because I thought they were really good. Especially the main guy, the head of the company. He was really
yeah.
good. His sister was hot, and the main lady was really good. Everybody was good. All the acting was solid.
I did like the acting. They did pretty well. They pretty well. So overall, good movie.
Yeah, I would say overall it was good. It was a good movie. I mean, it's a foreign film. You know it's going to be at worst, it's going to be good.
Yeah, generally they really are. So that's our take on Kill Boksoon on Netflix. Kill Boksoon, check it out. It's on Netflix, like we said, and be prepared to, sit down for 2.5 hours. So just prepare for that. That's probably the worst thing about it, that it's just long. But I think you'll enjoy it. Watch it in Korean with subtitles if you can handle it. Uh,
It's a lot of reading, but
it is a
I
lot of
think it's
reading.
better. It's better than doing it dubbed.
It is. Honestly, it is. So that's all for this episode, guys. So please make sure to like, subscribe, comment on another movie you'd want us to review.
Yeah, go give Netflix your money because they totally need it, right? Ted Sarandos. Um, Yeah, I would say ultimately it was really enjoyable. I had more fun watching it today than I did last night, but again, I was a little tired, and it was like the first kind of half hour of the movie. But the movie definitely hits its stride at a certain point, and I think once it hits its stride, you really enjoy it. If you're into those high level people flying around kind of action movies, this is definitely a movie for you if you're into that. It is a bit of a family drama as well, and incest, so Game of Thrones fans will fall in love with it too. Anyways, Chris, that's all I got. Take it from here.
Yep. Right, moving on.
All right, so let's go get our lynching rope. Let's go get our cross. Let's go get our gasoline tanks. Oh wait, Chris cut all that out, so he has no idea. So the fans have no idea what we're talking about at this point. Well, Chris is a leader of a band, and we're gonna make a cool music video.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a good night, everybody.